Lena had started her day like any other. The cafe was bustling with the usual morning crowd, and she moved quickly between tables, taking orders, pouring coffee, and balancing plates of pastries. The smell of fresh bread and brewing coffee filled the air, mixing with the soft murmur of conversations and the occasional laughter of customers who were in no rush to leave. Lena liked her job even though it wasn't glamorous. She enjoyed the rhythm of it, the small interactions that made each day unique, and the sense of purpose she felt in keeping things running smoothly. That morning, the cafe seemed a little different. A group of people walked in, dressed in sharp business attire, and immediately drew attention. Lena noticed them right away because they carried themselves with a certain confidence and precision. One man in particular stood out. He was slightly taller than the rest, wearing a tailored suit and a calm, serious expression. There was something commanding about him, even in the casual chaos of the cafe. Lena would later learn that he was a well-known CEO visiting the city for meetings and conferences. The group took a table near the window, and Lena approached them with her notepad in hand, ready to take their orders. The man with the commanding presence seemed to struggle with the menu, and Lena quickly realized he was relying on a translation app on his phone. He spoke a few words into it, and the app translated something entirely different from what he intended. Lena noticed immediately that the translation didn't make sense and it could potentially lead to an embarrassing misunderstanding. She took a breath, reminding herself to be polite and professional. She didn't want to embarrass anyone, but she also knew the importance of correcting the mistake. Leaning slightly forward, she spoke in a calm, friendly tone. "Excuse me, sir, I think the translation might be a little off. I can help clarify if you want." The man looked up at her, a flicker of surprise crossing his face. He wasn't used to being corrected, especially by someone so young and clearly not part of his business circle. For a moment, the cafe felt quieter, as if everyone around them had noticed the tiny moment of tension. Lena smiled reassuringly. "I just want to make sure your message is understood correctly. It happens with translation apps sometimes." He hesitated, then nodded slowly. "Thank you," he said, his voice careful but genuine. He repeated his original statement, and Lena corrected the translation, keeping it simple and precise. She didn't exaggerate, she didn't make it about herself. She just made sure the meaning was clear. The rest of the group looked a little surprised, but no one said anything. Lena finished taking their orders, and as she walked away, she noticed the man's eyes following her briefly. There was a subtle shift in his expression, a hint of respect and curiosity. He had been impressed, and she didn't even realize it at the time. As she moved on to serve other customers, Lena felt a small rush of satisfaction. It wasn't about recognition or praise. It was about doing the right thing in that moment. She had corrected a mistake that could have been embarrassing or misleading, and she had done it with confidence and respect. In her line of work, those small moments of attention to detail mattered, even if most people didn't notice. The cafe continued to fill with more customers, and Lena went about her routine, carrying trays of coffee and breakfast plates with practiced ease. But there was a lingering sense in the back of her mind that this encounter was different, something about the way the CEO had looked at her. The slight nod of acknowledgement made her feel seen in a way she rarely experienced. It was a fleeting moment, but one that stayed with her throughout the morning. A few minutes later, a young man at a nearby table pulled out his phone and whispered something to his friend. Lena didn't pay much attention until she noticed that he had been recording a short video of the interaction between her and the CEO. He was careful not to point the camera directly at her face in a disrespectful way, capturing only the exchange of words. Lena felt a twinge of discomfort but chose to ignore it, focusing on her work. She had no idea that this small clip would soon travel far beyond the cafe walls. After taking the orders, Lena moved back behind the counter, where the barista and other staff were busy with drinks and pastries. She handed off the tray of croissants she had just picked up and caught a glimpse of the CEO glancing toward her. He gave a subtle nod, a small but unmistakable gesture of gratitude. Lena smiled politely in return and turned back to her duties. The rest of the morning passed in a blur of coffee cups, breakfast sandwiches, and conversations. Lena moved through it all with her usual mix of efficiency and warmth, greeting regular customers by name and making sure newcomers felt welcome. She had learned over the years that small gestures, a remembered preference, a kind word, a careful attention to detail, could make a big difference in someone's day. That morning, it seemed, her gestures had reached someone from a world entirely different from hers. By the time the cafe began to quiet down after the morning rush, Lena noticed a subtle change in the atmosphere. Some customers whispered to each other, glancing toward the CEO's table and then toward her. Her co-workers gave her curious looks, though no one said anything outright. Lena shrugged it off, focusing on cleaning and restocking. She didn't want to draw attention to herself, and she certainly didn't want to appear boastful. Yet she couldn't deny the faint thrill of realizing that her small act of courage had not gone entirely unnoticed. After the lunch crowd had come and gone, Lena took a short break in the back room, sipping water and leaning against the wall. She reflected on the morning, thinking about how a simple correction done politely and confidently could have such a subtle but profound impact. She thought about the CEO, the video, and the tiny shift in perception that could ripple outward in ways she couldn't yet see. For Lena, it reinforced a lesson she had learned long ago. Small actions mattered, even in a world that often overlooked them. As she returned to the cafe floor, Lena noticed a few new faces lingering near the entrance, curious and hesitant. Some recognized her from the video that was quietly making its way around social media, though she remained unaware of its growing reach. She greeted them with her usual smile, offering menus and answering questions, completely unaware that a single morning interaction was about to change the course of her day, and perhaps even her life. By evening, word of the exchange began to spread beyond the cafe. A few customers shared the video online, impressed by Lena's poise and the CEO's reaction. It started as a small ripple, a few likes and comments, but the content was shareable. People were drawn to the simple yet powerful story of a waitress who had the confidence to correct a CEO respectfully. The idea of speaking up, of noticing what others overlooked, resonated with many, and soon the clip began to gain traction in local circles. Meanwhile, Lena closed the cafe with her team, feeling the usual mix of exhaustion and satisfaction that came from a long day. She didn't check social media immediately, preferring to leave it for later. Yet there was an unspoken sense among the staff that something unusual had occurred. Whispers circulated quietly about the young waitress who had shown courage and intelligence in an unexpected moment. Lena smiled politely at the comments but focused on the work that needed to be done. That night, as she walked home under the glow of streetlights, Lena reflected on the morning and the small choices that had led to the CEO noticing her. She realized that life sometimes offered moments of opportunity that seemed ordinary at first, but carried the potential for unexpected impact. Correcting a translation app might have seemed trivial, yet it had been noticed, appreciated, and quietly documented in a way that could ripple outward far beyond her immediate understanding. She arrived home, exhausted but with a quiet sense of pride. The video would eventually go viral, the CEO would remember her, and her story would inspire many people who saw it. But at that moment, Lena felt something more personal, the knowledge that she had acted with integrity, confidence, and grace. And for Lena, that was enough to end the day with a sense of accomplishment that went beyond applause or recognition, a reminder that the right choices, no matter how small, could resonate far beyond their immediate moment. The day after the incident, Lena arrived at the cafe feeling the usual mix of excitement and fatigue that came with early mornings. The air smelled of fresh coffee and the chatter of customers filled the room. What was different this morning was the quiet buzz among the staff. Her coworkers whispered in small groups, stealing glances at her as she moved between tables, pouring drinks and taking orders. There was a sense that something had shifted, even if she didn't yet know why. One of the baristas approached her with a phone in hand, trying not to seem too eager. "Lena, I think you should see this," she said softly, handing over the device. Lena took it with a slight frown, unsure what it could be. On the screen was the video from the day before, the clip of her politely correcting the CEO's translation. It had been shared online and was already gaining attention. Comments rolled in beneath the video, many praising her intelligence, confidence, and calm demeanor. Some people were impressed that she had spoken up to a high-profile executive so politely, while others expressed admiration for the courage it took to correct someone in a position of authority. Lena's heart raced as she scrolled through the comments. She had never expected this moment to be seen by anyone beyond the cafe. The thought of a stranger, let alone a CEO, noticing her actions was both thrilling and intimidating. She looked up at her coworkers who were now watching her reactions with curiosity and a hint of awe. "It's going viral," she whispered almost to herself. Despite the sudden attention, Lena focused on the cafe and her work. Orders kept coming in, and she moved through them efficiently, pouring coffee, serving pastries, and handling customer questions. But she couldn't entirely shake the knowledge that people outside were now watching a part of her life unfold online. The sensation was strange, a mix of vulnerability and excitement. Later that morning, a man from the cafe's management approached her, holding a phone and smiling. "Lena, someone just called the cafe. He wants to speak to you," he said. Lena's eyebrows rose in surprise. "Who?" she asked cautiously. "It's the CEO from yesterday," he said. "He wants to thank you personally." Lena felt her stomach tighten. She hadn't expected any follow-up, let alone a direct call from someone so influential. Her mind raced with questions. Why me? What would he want to say? Was this some kind of publicity stunt? Taking a deep breath, she agreed to speak with him. The conversation over the phone was polite and brief. The CEO introduced himself properly and expressed his gratitude for her attention to detail and the way she had corrected his translation so respectfully. He explained that the moment had stuck with him, and he wanted to meet her in person to thank her. Lena felt a mix of excitement and nervousness. This was far beyond anything she had imagined. Her friends and family encouraged her to meet him. They were excited and supportive, urging her to see this as an opportunity, though Lena still felt uncertain. She was a waitress, not used to interacting with people from such a different world, but she realized that she had done nothing wrong. She had acted with integrity, and now she was being acknowledged for it. After a moment of hesitation, she agreed to the meeting. When Lena arrived at the agreed location, a quiet upscale cafe in another part of town, she felt her nerves settle slightly. The CEO was already there, sitting at a table with a calm, composed demeanor. He stood as she approached and extended his hand in greeting, a friendly smile on his face. Lena felt herself relax a little in response. "Thank you for meeting with me, Lena," he said sincerely. "I wanted to personally express my gratitude. What you did yesterday was not just helpful, it was impressive. You handled a situation with patience, intelligence, and tact, and that's a rare combination." Lena nodded, feeling a flush of pride but trying to remain modest. "I just wanted to make sure everything was understood correctly. That's all," she said softly. He leaned back slightly, studying her for a moment. "It was more than that. The way you noticed the problem and addressed it without hesitation shows a quality I respect greatly. People often overlook the small details, or they hesitate to speak up when it matters most. You did both." Lena listened carefully, absorbing his words. She had never thought of herself as remarkable. She had simply been doing her job to the best of her ability. Yet here was someone whose work and influence reached far beyond her experience, recognizing her effort in a way that felt tangible and meaningful. The conversation shifted naturally into other topics. The CEO, whose name Lena now knew was Harper, spoke about his business ventures, the challenges he faced in managing large teams, and the importance of attention to detail in high-pressure environments. Lena found herself drawn into the discussion, asking questions and sharing insights she had gained from years of observing patterns, solving problems quickly, and managing a busy cafe. Her ideas were met with thoughtful nods and occasional smiles, and she began to realize that her skills were more valuable than she had allowed herself to believe. At one point, Harper leaned forward slightly. "Lena, I have to ask, would you consider working with me on a project? It would be temporary at first, just to see how you adapt, but I think someone with your ability to notice details and solve problems could make a real impact." Lena blinked, taken aback. She hadn't expected an offer like this. Her mind raced through the possibilities and the risks. She was a waitress, not a corporate professional. Yet the idea was exciting, a chance to step into a world she had only glimpsed from afar. After a moment of hesitation, she nodded slowly. "I'd like to try," she said, her voice steady despite the nervous flutter in her chest. Harper smiled, clearly pleased. "Excellent. We'll start with something small, nothing overwhelming. I want you to feel comfortable, and I think you'll do well. Your observation and courage yesterday told me more than any resume could." The rest of the meeting was a mix of logistics and conversation. They discussed schedules, initial responsibilities, and the importance of clear communication. Harper was patient, ensuring that Lena understood what was expected while also encouraging her to ask questions and provide input. Lena felt a sense of confidence growing within her. She had been recognized not just for a single moment, but for her character and capabilities. After the meeting, Lena walked outside into the afternoon sun, feeling a mixture of excitement and disbelief. She had gone from serving coffee and pastries to being offered a chance to work on a project with a prominent CEO. The realization was both thrilling and intimidating. She thought back to the morning when she had simply corrected a translation, never imagining it would lead to this moment. Life had a way of surprising people when they acted with honesty and courage. Over the next few days, the video continued to circulate online. It gained attention on social media platforms with thousands of views, likes, and shares. People admired Lena's composure, her intelligence, and her courage. Some news outlets picked up the story, highlighting the moment as an example of speaking up with confidence and respect, even in situations where there was a clear power imbalance. Lena remained humble, not seeking attention, but the recognition began to open doors she had never considered before. At the cafe, customers and co-workers began mentioning the video more frequently. Some recognized her from the clip, offering smiles and compliments. Lena handled the attention with quiet grace, focusing on her work while slowly accepting that her life was beginning to shift in ways she hadn't imagined. The small act of correcting a translation had created a ripple effect, connecting her to opportunities that seemed impossible just days earlier. As Lena prepared for her first day working on Harper's project, she reflected on the journey that had brought her here. It had begun with a simple moment of observation, a willingness to speak up respectfully, and a commitment to doing what was right. She realized that courage and intelligence, even in everyday situations, could open doors and change the course of one's life. And for Lena, this was just the beginning of a new chapter, one filled with challenges, learning, and the possibility of making a meaningful impact beyond the cafe floor. Lena's first day working on Harper's project arrived faster than she had anticipated. She felt a mixture of excitement and nervousness as she stepped into the office building, a world that seemed completely different from the cafe she was used to. The floors were polished, the lights bright, and the atmosphere carried a quiet intensity that made her pulse quicken. She took a deep breath and reminded herself that she was here because of her abilities, not her background. Harper greeted her warmly at the entrance. "Welcome, Lena. I'm glad you're here. Take your time to settle in, and don't hesitate to ask questions about anything, no matter how small it seems." Lena nodded, feeling a bit of relief. His friendly, approachable tone made the transition easier. She followed him through the office, passing rooms filled with employees focused on their tasks. She noticed the efficient flow, the organization, and the quiet energy of people working toward a common goal. It was different from the hustle of the cafe, but it shared a similar rhythm in its own way. Harper led her to a smaller office where a few team members were already gathered. He introduced her politely, explaining her role in observing details, checking for errors, and providing input on the materials they were preparing. Lena listened carefully, taking notes and asking clarifying questions when necessary. She quickly realized that her attention to detail and her ability to notice small inconsistencies were exactly what this project needed. Her first assignment involved reviewing a presentation that was being prepared for an international client. Lena read through the slides carefully, noticing subtle errors in translation, formatting inconsistencies, and areas where the message could be clearer. She pointed them out respectfully, offering suggestions for improvement. The team listened, surprised and impressed by her observations. "Excellent catch, Lena," Harper said, smiling. "This is exactly the kind of perspective that makes a difference. Sometimes people miss the obvious because they are too close to the work. Your fresh eyes are invaluable." As the day progressed, Lena found herself adapting quickly. She asked questions when she didn't understand something, suggested improvements when she saw opportunities, and gradually began to feel a sense of belonging. It was challenging, yes, but it was also exciting to see her ideas making an impact. Unlike the cafe, where the results of her work were immediate but small, here her contributions had a larger reach and significance. During a short break, Lena and Harper walked through a quiet corridor overlooking the city. He shared stories of his early career, the mistakes he had made, and the lessons he had learned along the way. Lena listened intently, realizing that even someone so successful had faced doubts and obstacles. It was reassuring to know that challenges were universal, and overcoming them was part of growth. "You've got something special, Lena," Harper said after a moment of silence. "Not just your skills, but your attitude. You notice what others overlook, and you have the courage to speak up when it matters. That's rare. Don't underestimate it." Lena felt a warm surge of confidence. For so long she had doubted whether her abilities mattered beyond her small world. How she could see clearly that they did, and that her observations and insights were valued at a much larger scale. It was empowering, yet humbling. Back in the office, Lena continued her work, reviewing documents, checking details, and providing feedback. Each time her suggestions were accepted or implemented, she felt a small but growing sense of accomplishment. She realized that her everyday experiences at the cafe, juggling multiple tasks, managing small details, and interacting with people, had prepared her for this moment in ways she hadn't considered before. Her previous life wasn't separate from her present. It had shaped her ability to excel here. By the end of the day, Lena was tired but exhilarated. Harper stopped by her workspace once more. "You did very well today. Take some time to reflect, and tomorrow we'll dive deeper into the next phase. You're adjusting faster than I expected, and that says a lot about your capabilities." Walking home that evening, Lena reflected on the whirlwind of the past few days. A small act of correcting a translation had led her to this new environment, offering challenges that seemed both daunting and exhilarating. She realized that life could change in unexpected ways when one acted with honesty, confidence, and attention to detail. The viral video, the CEO's recognition, and now this opportunity were all part of a chain reaction that she had never anticipated but was beginning to embrace fully. Over the next few days, Lena immersed herself in the project, learning quickly and contributing meaningfully. She developed a rhythm with the team, understanding their strengths and areas where she could provide support. Her confidence grew as she saw her suggestions implemented and her insights appreciated. What had initially seemed like a leap into an unfamiliar world now began to feel like a place where she could thrive. Outside of work, the video of her correction continued to spread online. It gained attention on larger social media platforms with thousands of views and shares. People admired her composure, intelligence, and courage. Some media outlets featured her story, highlighting the moment as an inspiring example of speaking up with respect and confidence. Lena remained humble, grateful for the recognition but focused on the work at hand. She understood that this attention was temporary, but the skills and lessons she was gaining were permanent. Her colleagues at the office started noticing the attention too. Some approached her privately, complimenting her on the video and on how seamlessly she was integrating into the team. Lena appreciated their support but remained grounded, knowing that her success was tied to her diligence, adaptability, and willingness to learn. One afternoon, Harper called her into his office. He had a serious expression but a kind tone.
"Lena, I've been watching your progress and I'm very impressed."
"I want to give you a bit more responsibility. There's a client presentation coming up and I'd like you to help ensure everything is accurate and clear. It will be a bigger challenge, but I believe you're ready." Lena felt a mix of nervousness and excitement. This was another step forward, a chance to demonstrate her abilities on a larger stage. She accepted, determined to do her best and make the most of the opportunity. Harper's confidence in her abilities further reinforced her own belief that she could rise to challenges she had once thought beyond her reach. As the days passed, Lena balanced her responsibilities with careful observation and thoughtful input. She learned to navigate the corporate environment, communicate effectively, and manage the pressure that came with higher stakes. Each success, no matter how small, reinforced her confidence and reminded her that the choices she made, the courage she displayed, and the attention to detail that she had cultivated in her previous job were all valuable assets. The experience also taught Lena the importance of humility and patience. Even as she gained recognition and responsibility, she remained aware of the support and collaboration required to succeed. She learned to listen, to adapt, and to offer solutions thoughtfully. Her relationships with colleagues deepened, built on mutual respect and trust. By the end of the week, Lena had proven herself capable of handling responsibilities she had never imagined, earning praise from Harper and other team members. The project was progressing smoothly, thanks in part to her insights and careful attention to detail. Lena reflected on how far she had come, realizing that the simple act of correcting a translation in a cafe had set off a chain of events that transformed her life. She felt gratitude for the unexpected turn of events, but also pride in the skills, courage, and intelligence that had made it possible. As she left the office that evening, Lena looked out at the city skyline and smiled. She had stepped into a world that had once seemed intimidating, and she was thriving. The journey was just beginning, but she was ready for the challenges ahead, confident in her ability to adapt, learn, and make a meaningful impact. And deep down, she knew that her story was a reminder that small actions, when guided by integrity and awareness, could lead to extraordinary opportunities. Lena's confidence had grown steadily as she continued working on Harper's project. Each day brought new challenges and learning opportunities. Her initial nervousness had given way to a quiet assurance, and she found herself enjoying the work in ways she had never imagined. The office, once intimidating, had become a place where she could contribute meaningfully, apply her skills, and see the tangible results of her efforts. One morning, Harper approached her desk with a bright expression. "Lena, we have an upcoming client meeting, and I'd like you to take the lead in preparing the materials. This is a bit bigger than your previous assignments, but I know you're ready." Lena's stomach fluttered with a mix of excitement and nerves. She nodded, feeling the weight of responsibility but also the thrill of the opportunity. She knew this was her chance to show her capabilities on a larger scale, and she was determined not to disappoint. She spent the next few days meticulously reviewing presentations, reports, and documents. She noticed inconsistencies in formatting, minor translation errors, and points that could be clarified for better understanding. Lena worked closely with the team, offering suggestions and ensuring that every detail was perfect. Her attention to detail and thoroughness quickly earned the respect of her colleagues. They admired her calm composure and the way she could spot issues that others overlooked. During this period, Lena also had to navigate the complexities of corporate communication. She learned to present her ideas clearly, ask for clarification when needed, and handle feedback gracefully. Each challenge was an opportunity to grow, and she embraced them with determination and focus. Harper noticed her dedication and often stopped by to offer encouragement. "You're doing exceptionally well, Lena," he said one afternoon. "Your contributions are making a real difference, and the client will notice." The day of the client meeting arrived, and Lena felt a mixture of anticipation and anxiety. She had prepared extensively, ensuring that every detail was accurate and that the materials were polished. Harper and the team entered the conference room, and Lena set up the presentation with precision. When the client arrived, she greeted them politely, maintaining her calm and professional demeanor. As the presentation began, Lena assisted in explaining key points, clarifying information, and answering questions when needed. She noticed subtle cues from the client, adjusting her responses to ensure clarity and understanding. Harper observed her quietly, clearly impressed with how she handled the situation. Her contributions made the presentation smoother and more effective, earning nods of approval from both the client and the team. After the meeting, Harper pulled Lena aside. "You were excellent today. You managed everything with poise and professionalism. I knew you had potential, but seeing it in action confirms just how capable you are." Lena felt a warm sense of pride. Her journey from the cafe to this office had been unexpected, but she realized that her skills, intelligence, and courage had brought her here. She had taken a small opportunity and nurtured it, proving to herself and others that she could rise to challenges far beyond her previous experience. Over the next few weeks, Lena continued to gain responsibility within the project. Harper trusted her to review important documents, provide input on strategic decisions, and oversee details that required meticulous attention. She found satisfaction in her growing competence, knowing that her contributions were valued and making a tangible impact. Her confidence blossomed, and she began to take initiative in suggesting improvements and solutions, earning further respect from her colleagues. Meanwhile, the video of her correcting the CEO continued to circulate online. It had now reached an international audience, inspiring discussions about courage, attention to detail, and the importance of speaking up respectfully. Lena received messages of support from strangers who admired her poise and intelligence. She felt grateful for the recognition but remained focused on the work at hand. understanding that real success came from effort, skill, and perseverance, not viral fame alone. Her life had changed dramatically in a short time, but Lena remained grounded. She continued to live modestly, appreciating the simple joys of everyday life while embracing the opportunities that had opened up for her. She reflected on the unexpected chain of events that had brought her here, realizing that her choices, courage, and attention to detail had made all the difference. One afternoon, Harper called Lena into his office for a private conversation. He looked serious but not stern. "Lena, I've been thinking about your progress and your potential. I want to offer you a more permanent role within the company, with increased responsibilities. You've shown qualities that are rare and invaluable." Lena's heart raced. She had come a long way from her days in the cafe, and now she was being offered a permanent position with significant responsibilities. She felt a mixture of gratitude, excitement, and a touch of nervousness. After a moment, she smiled and accepted the offer, feeling ready to embrace this new chapter of her life. The announcement of her new role was met with congratulations from her colleagues and supportive messages from people who had followed her story online. Lena realized that her journey had become more than just a personal achievement. It had inspired others to recognize the value of courage, observation, and integrity. Her story demonstrated that talent and determination could come from unexpected places, and that small actions could lead to significant opportunities. As Lena settled into her permanent role, she continued to apply her skills, attention to detail, and thoughtful approach to every task. She remained humble, remembering the importance of learning and growing continuously. Her experiences in the cafe had shaped her work ethic and her ability to navigate challenges, and she drew on those lessons every day. She also began mentoring other team members, encouraging them to speak up, notice details, and approach challenges with confidence. Lena's journey had taught her that opportunity often came to those who were prepared and willing to act with integrity. She wanted to share that insight with others, helping them see that their actions, no matter how small, could create meaningful change. Over time, Lena became a respected and trusted member of the company. Her story continued to circulate online, serving as an inspiring example of how courage, intelligence, and attention to detail could transform lives. People admired her not just for the viral moment, but for the consistent dedication and integrity she displayed every day. Reflecting on her journey, Lena felt a deep sense of gratitude. A simple act, correcting a translation, had set off a chain of events that reshaped her life. She realized that opportunities often appeared in unexpected ways, and that acting with honesty, confidence, and attentiveness could open doors she had never imagined. Her story was a testament to the power of small actions, courage, and the willingness to embrace new challenges. Lena continued to thrive in her new role, balancing responsibility with humility, and always remembering the path that had led her there. The experience had not only transformed her career, but also her outlook on life, showing her that even ordinary moments could hold extraordinary potential. And as she looked toward the future, she felt ready to face any challenge. Confident in her abilities and in the power of her own choices, Lena had settled into her new role and was feeling a quiet confidence she had never experienced before. Her days were filled with work that challenged her mind and rewarded her efforts. The office, once intimidating, now felt like a place where she could thrive, contribute, and grow. She knew that each project she handled was a chance to sharpen her skills and prove her worth, not just to her colleagues, but to herself. One morning, Harper called her into his office. He had a bright smile and an energy that suggested something significant was about to happen. "Lena," he began, "I've been thinking about the way you approach problems, your attention to detail, and your ability to stay calm under pressure. I want to give you an opportunity that goes beyond your current role. I'd like you to lead a new initiative that could expand our business. It's a big responsibility, but I believe you're ready." Lena felt her heart race. This was far more than she had expected when she first corrected a translation in a cafe days ago. She nodded, feeling both nervous and exhilarated. "I'll do my best," she said, her voice steady despite the excitement. The next few weeks were intense. Lena led meetings, coordinated with various departments, and reviewed critical documents. She spent long hours ensuring that every detail was perfect, from the wording of emails to the formatting of reports. She faced challenges, of course, but each one was an opportunity to learn. Her team respected her for her thoughtful approach and calm demeanor, often turning to her for guidance on complex issues. During this period, Lena also began mentoring newer team members, sharing insights from her experience at the cafe and her journey in the office. She emphasized the importance of observing details, speaking up respectfully, and approaching every task with integrity. Her influence grew, and her colleagues admired not just her skills but her humility and willingness to help others succeed. Meanwhile, the video of Lena correcting Harper continued to circulate online. It had become more than a viral moment. It had turned into an inspiring story shared by thousands around the world. People admired her courage, intelligence, and composure, and the story was often cited as an example of how small acts of integrity could lead to life-changing opportunities. Lena received messages of support and congratulations, but she remained grounded, focusing on the work that mattered. As the weeks passed, Lena's initiative began to take shape. She led presentations to clients, coordinated with different teams, and made strategic decisions that improved efficiency and outcomes. Her ability to notice small details that others overlooked became a significant advantage, and Harper often praised her for her keen insights and dedication. "You're making a real impact, Lena," he said one afternoon. "Your work is helping us grow in ways we hadn't anticipated." Lena felt a sense of pride but also humility. She remembered her early days at the cafe, the moment she corrected a translation and the chain of events that had led her here. She understood that success was built on effort, attention to detail, and the courage to act with integrity, even in small moments. Her journey was a testament to the power of consistent, thoughtful actions. One day, Harper called Lena into his office again. He had a serious but excited expression. "Lena, I've been considering your growth and the impact you've made on the team. I want to offer you a stake in the new initiative, making you a partner in this venture. It's a significant responsibility, but I believe you're ready for it." Lena was stunned. The opportunity was beyond anything she had imagined. She felt a mix of awe, gratitude, and determination. She knew this was a chance to make a lasting impact and to take ownership of something she had helped shape. She accepted, understanding that with the opportunity came responsibility, hard work, and the chance to continue proving her capabilities. The months that followed were a whirlwind of activity. Lena balanced her responsibilities, mentored her team, and continued to refine her skills. The project grew successfully, attracting attention from clients and industry leaders. Lena's thoughtful approach, attention to detail, and leadership were recognized and celebrated within the company and beyond. Her story, from a waitress correcting a CEO to a business partner leading a major initiative, inspired countless people. It became a symbol of how courage, observation, and integrity could transform lives. Lena used her platform to encourage others to embrace opportunities, speak up when it mattered, and approach challenges with confidence and humility. Reflecting on her journey, Lena felt a deep sense of gratitude. A small act of correction had set off a series of events that changed her life. She had moved from serving coffee to leading a successful business initiative, mentoring others, and inspiring countless people around the world. Her experience had taught her that every moment held potential, and that courage, intelligence, and integrity could open doors that might otherwise remain closed. Lena continued to thrive, balancing her responsibilities with humility and grace. She never forgot the lessons from her early days, understanding that success was built on consistency, observation, and thoughtful action. Her story remained a reminder that ordinary moments could have extraordinary consequences, and that life could change in ways one never expected, often starting with a single, courageous step. Lena's life had transformed in ways she had never imagined. From the cafe where she carefully corrected a translation to leading a successful initiative and mentoring a team, every step had been unexpected yet rewarding. But even with her success, Lena remained grounded, remembering the lessons she had learned from her early days. She knew that humility, attention to detail, and integrity were the keys to lasting achievement. One morning, Lena arrived at the office feeling a mixture of excitement and determination. Harper approached her with a thoughtful expression. "Lena," he said, "we've been discussing ways to expand our business and strengthen our presence. I'd like you to take the lead on a new project that could shape the future of our company. It's a significant challenge, but I trust your judgment and skills." Lena's heart raced. She was ready for a new challenge, and this opportunity felt like a natural progression of her journey. She nodded, feeling a surge of confidence. "I'll do my best," she said, her voice steady. The new project involved evaluating a potential acquisition, a small boutique hotel that had fallen into disrepair but held significant potential. Harper explained that the property had historical value and a prime location, and he wanted Lena to assess its viability, manage renovations, and eventually oversee operations. Lena listened intently, realizing that this would be a chance to apply her skills in an entirely new environment. She began her work by visiting the hotel, walking through empty halls and examining each room carefully. She took notes on structural issues, layout, and areas that could be improved. She spoke with the few staff who remained, asking questions and observing the daily operations. Lena was meticulous, considering every detail and envisioning how the hotel could be transformed into a welcoming, efficient, and profitable establishment. Back at the office, Lena compiled her findings into a comprehensive report, highlighting strengths, weaknesses, and potential strategies for renovation and management. Harper and the team were impressed by her thoroughness and insight. "You've captured everything perfectly," Harper said. "Your vision and attention to detail give me confidence that this project is in capable hands." With Harper's approval, Lena began coordinating the renovation process. She worked closely with architects, designers, and contractors, ensuring that every aspect of the project reflected quality, practicality, and the hotel's historical charm. She carefully balanced budgets, timelines, and aesthetic choices, making decisions that would maximize the property's potential while maintaining its character. During the renovation, Lena encountered challenges. Some structural issues were more severe than expected. Contractors faced delays and unexpected costs arose. Lena handled each situation with patience and strategic thinking, finding solutions without compromising the quality of work. She communicated clearly with all parties, ensuring that everyone understood priorities and deadlines. Her leadership skills grew as she navigated these obstacles, and the team began to look to her for guidance and reassurance. At the same time, Lena focused on staff training and development. She implemented new procedures for operations, emphasizing efficiency, customer service, and attention to detail. She coached employees on best practices, encouraging them to take pride in their work and to notice the small things that could enhance the guest experience. The hotel staff responded positively, inspired by Lena's approach and clear vision. As the renovation progressed, Lena also considered marketing and branding strategies. She developed plans to highlight the hotel's unique features, history, and the improvements that would make it a top choice for travelers. She worked with a small team to create promotional materials, social media campaigns, and partnerships with local businesses. Lena's strategic thinking and creativity added a new dimension to the project, ensuring that the hotel would not only be well managed but also attract guests and generate revenue. After months of careful planning, renovation, and training, the hotel was ready to reopen. Lena walked through the newly polished halls, observing the warm decor, functional layouts, and welcoming atmosphere. Guests were arriving, and staff were confidently carrying out their roles. Lena felt a deep sense of accomplishment, realizing that the small act that had started everything, correcting a translation, had led her to this moment of tangible achievement. Harper visited the hotel for the grand opening. He walked through the rooms, observing the improvements and the smooth operation of the staff. He smiled at Lena, clearly proud. "You've done an incredible job," he said. "This hotel is not just operational. It's thriving because of your vision, leadership, and dedication." Lena felt a warm sense of pride and gratitude. She reflected on the journey that had brought her here, from the cafe to the office and now to managing a hotel. She realized that courage, attention to detail, and integrity had shaped her path and opened doors that she could never have anticipated. As the hotel gained popularity, Lena's story continued to inspire people online and offline. Articles highlighted her journey from waitress to hotel manager, emphasizing her intelligence, courage, and leadership. She received messages from aspiring professionals who admired her ability to seize opportunities, act with integrity, and succeed in unexpected ways. Lena remained humble, understanding that her achievements were the result of consistent effort, careful observation, and a willingness to embrace challenges. In her daily work, Lena continued to lead by example, fostering a culture of excellence, respect, and attention to detail. She encouraged staff to take initiative, speak up when they noticed issues, and approach their work thoughtfully. The hotel thrived not only because of its physical improvements, but because of the mindset and values Lena instilled in the team. Looking back, Lena understood that every small decision, every act of courage, and every careful observation had contributed to her success. She had learned that opportunities often arise unexpectedly, and that embracing them with integrity, diligence, and confidence could transform lives. Her story was a testament to the power of small actions, thoughtful leadership, and the belief in one's own abilities. As Lena walked through the bustling lobby of the hotel, watching guests check in with smiles and staff performing their duties with confidence, she felt a profound sense of fulfillment. The journey that had begun with a simple correction in a cafe had led her to a place where she could make a real impact, lead a successful operation, and inspire others to believe in themselves. She knew that the future would continue to bring challenges, opportunities, and moments that required courage and thoughtful action. Lena felt ready, confident that she could face whatever came next, guided by the lessons she had learned and the values that had brought her this far. And in that moment, she understood fully that the ordinary can become extraordinary when approached with integrity, attention to detail, and unwavering dedication.